Hello, welcome to December 2nd, 2022. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This is an exercise that I perform each and every day shortly after waking up. It's 4:38 a.m. right now. I'm a little behind schedule. I make this video in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, in order to see how I did applying these to the challenges and opportunities I met yesterday, including last night, and then to plan for the coming day. First, last night and yesterday, and good morning, Parker. Last night was interesting. It was okay until it wasn't. There's a title. I went to bed at my usual time around 9 p.m. and laid my head on my pillow and just gone fast asleep, as always. I never have any trouble getting to sleep. I know that that's a struggle for others, including my wife, especially lately. And I was having this wonderful, just dreamless depths of emptiness sleep until suddenly I just woke up thinking about work. Mainly trying to figure out how I was going to solve problems that I know I'll have to face on Monday. I've got today off. Today's my Friday off. How am I going to face those things? And steps that I'll take today, even though I have the day off, I'm going to fire up the computer and the work computer and do some work to prepare the way for next week, to soften the ground, so to speak. And I was thinking about all that, and just fully wide awake. And my dog knew it. He knew that I was stressed out and thinking about work. He always detects that. And he was giving me the attention that loving dogs do. And then I realized that my wife, Yumiko, was laying beside me, awake also. Same thing. She might be awake right now. I got to keep my voice down. It's interesting how this pressure, I don't ever remember it being like this in my younger years or in past jobs, even really hard jobs that I had. It was more like hard because, come in and just like tilling the earth hard, right? You spend a hard day behind the plowshare and put the horses away, feed and fodder the horses, and feed and fodder myself, and then go to bed as if I was a plowman, and just sleep the sleep of death, not thinking about work. All my jobs in the past were pretty much like that, with the exception of the business that I owned. I guess maybe it's a result of being a project manager, where it's like all the weight of all the responsibility of everything, weighs upon your shoulder. And so I was really appreciative of the comments that people left in yesterday's video, and I haven't had a chance to respond to all of them. Some people left really insightful, interesting, and I'm really grateful for their comments, indicating that how they experience these same things, and I'm sorry that they do. I would wish this on nobody. And then also the ones describing what it was like to be older, like we are, like Yumiko and I are, and getting older still, and what it's like into the struggles of the 60s, and then the struggles of the 70s, which I know people, as they age, face in differential ways, right? I mean, not everybody, old age doesn't come upon us, and everyone's in the same way. And I talked to Yumiko about it last night, and I said, we cannot wait to retire. I mean, the problem with the retirement game with pensions is that the longer you wait, the better your retirement. But anyway, I could retire today. I'm fully eligible to retire today, and the only reason I don't is because I want to, Yumiko and I want to stick around and see Emily through college and be here and help her get settled before we, up and abandon her. And it's not that It's not that she's not being encouraged to come join us in Japan. I mean, I am actively suggesting that to her. Life here in LA is tough. But if I did retire today, I mean, I'd have a sufficient retirement, but to get by. But it would be a humble retirement. If I waited every year that I wait, it just gets better and better. And it seems seemingly almost designed in such a way as to just, there's a lot of people that I know that just seemingly never stop working because they're waiting to cash in the bigger retirement, which seems a risk, kind of a gamble in a way. It's like you're trading life and time for money. I'd rather have the life and time and less money. So I don't know how I got down that track. Back on track, or it's really tough getting older and not having a nimble mind. Okay, just let me give you an example. I was in a meeting yesterday. I'm the project manager for one project, and I don't want to give away I don't want to talk too much details about work, and I certainly won't give any names. But there's a circumstance where we're doing something, and it requires detailed information about events. And I do keep really good records. I think I'm pretty good at that. I don't keep as good as records as one of my coworkers keeps in their mind alone. And they were able to recount events in incredible detail that I think I might have been able to do something similar 20 years ago, but I certainly can't do it now. And as that meeting was unfolding and I saw that happening, I was like, well, heavens to Betsy. I can't do that anymore. I mean, I could try to compensate with writing everything down, but I'm already doing a pretty good job of that, and that's still not good enough. Anyway, the price that you pay then is you become or the price that I pay then is I become an old man who can't keep up with the youngsters, and I'm not up to playing at their level anymore. I need to get off the field. I mean, that would be obvious in sports, right? I mean, you just reach a certain age in basketball or golf, football, name your sport, and you're kind of done. It's time to retire. I think the same is true in the professions as well, or any job for that matter. Maybe Walmart greeter is an exception, which is maybe why a lot of Walmart greeters are old people, right? I mean, we're good at being cordial and friendly and seemingly not threatening. So yesterday was a tough day. Coming face to face with my limitations, my increasing limitations. Now I compensate in a way because I'm very good at a few things still, although I wonder about those. But all I have to do is carry on for maybe around spring, summer 2025. It's almost 2023. 2.5 years. Jeez Louise. I'll tell you something funny. So I work in the public sector. I'm represented by a union. And the way that it works is when you get hired in the government here in California, if you join the union that I'm with, the SAU union, you are on a probation period for a year. And you're at will. And then once that year is up, the union protections go into place, and you're in pretty good shape. It's pretty hard to get rid of you. You'd have to make some pretty bad mistakes, be a liar, whatever, for the organization to get rid of you. You're safe, so to speak. Now, I've been working in government now for almost a decade. I've gone through this process 4 times. This is my 4th time. The first time when I came over, I went for a year as a BSA, as a business systems analyst 2. Then I got promoted to a BSA 3, and I went through that for a year again. And then I took a job as a manager, which was at will. There was no 1 year. So I was in that environment of being, vulnerable the whole time. I realized that being a manager wasn't for me, and or as I told my boss, being a leader is not for me. I'm not leadership I don't have the stuff of leadership. I'm a worker bee. So then I chose to go back to being a BSA 3, which is what I am right now. So it's position, climb down. I'm a BSA 3 now, which is where I belong. I shall not be a manager of men or women. And in the process of coming back down, I came back to the place where I used to work. And at the same time, so I know what it's like to go through this 1 year. And you're on your toes, right? I mean, you want to show them what you got. Now, I like to think I'm a proven quantity in this organization that I'm in now. They've hired me 3 times now. so I think that that's all right. And I'll tell you just flat out, it doesn't matter to me whether I'm in probation or not. I always give 100%. That's part of my problem, is that giving as much as I give really burns me out, It's one of the reasons why I can't sleep at night, right? I care, and I always will. But I'll tell you, there is something of a relief, especially now that I'm almost 60, to make it to the end of that probation period. And today is the end. Today's my 1 year anniversary, and I have the day off. So if they want to fire me, they have to call me on my day off to fire me. And again, it doesn't matter to me. If any of my bosses or employers or coworkers see this, I'm going to be the same Kurt on Monday that I was. I'll be the same Kurt this coming Monday that I was this last Monday. But there is something psychological to being in that, on the other side of that, knowing that you're safe, so to speak. And it's not because it's safe because we can slack off. It's just because, in general, there's a fear and anxiety, especially for those of us that have weighty responsibilities of family on our minds. If I was a single man, my life would have been completely different. I certainly would not be where I am now. Certainly wouldn't be a project manager. Wouldn't be wearing a shirt like this. Wouldn't have a haircut like this. I would probably be just a madman. You can just imagine. Yumiko rescued me from. I talk about it in my book, Going Alone. I talk about the path that I might have gone down had it not been for coming back. Because remember, the going alone is the danger, but it's also where we get to see something pretty scary about the emptiness of the universe, which for me compels me to be a social man, a family man, a husband and a father, and an employee, and a citizen, and a friend, and do all these things, and a son, and do all these things to the best of my ability. So it doesn't matter that today's my anniversary. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be a good employee next week, but my mind will be a little more at ease. Maybe I'll sleep just a little bit better, knowing that I made it through my probation yet again. This restless man. Oh, boy. I also want to get through this, to get my wife the hell out of here. She's undergoing pardon me. The two of us have experienced stress to greater lesser degrees over the course of our professional lives. But now is unlike any other for both of us. And she's really experiencing it. And I think this stuff takes our life away. I think every sleepless night subtracts some, if not the quality of that moment. subtracts some quantity of what's yet to come. And I don't want work to kill Yumiko now or later. So I'm hoping that she can get out of here sooner. The schedule is for her to leave in spring or summer 2024. So it's even closer. I want to get her the hell out of here. Get her back to Japan. She can. She'll do the reverse of what I did, right? She'll find us a place to live and get settled. She'll retire and begin that life, and I'll stay over here to make sure Emily gets settled. And then once Emily's settled, then I'm the hell out of here too. That's the end of this run. All right, let's do the good life. My 7 objectives, and again, these are all in my book, Going Alone. Number 1 is to be always ready to die, to have my life affairs, my relationships, and my life's work in a good order, so that when I finish this video, which is part of that effort, this fulfills my purpose in life beyond being a husband and father, which is to share the message of my story, Going Alone, and the resulting good life creed. Once I make this video, my life is, I like to say, done. Not finished, but done. And I am in a good place to die. And I've been doing that every day for like the last 3 days, been reminding myself of that. And it has, I think the word is palpable effect. More so than knowing that I'm about to go off probation and be a safe and secure government employee again. More than that, knowing that my life is done. I mean, throughout the day, several times throughout the day, every day now, I have going into a tough meeting, reaching into a tough bit of work. I just remind myself, Kurt, you're done. Your life is done. You can die. It doesn't matter. Just do your best. This is all just coasting down the hill now. And it really has an effect. The funny thing is that you can't do that. This is a trick that only people my age can do, and only if you've fulfilled your obligations, whatever those are. Remember my obligations. Well, I remember, you don't know because I haven't talked about it yet. Principle number 5 in my Good Life Creed. Principle number 5, not objective, is the principle of purpose. And that principle says that my purpose is to be a good husband and father, to be a virtuous man, where virtue is defined as the seeking after the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. And my 3rd purpose is my personal one, which is sharing of the Good Life Creed via my story of Going Alone. And the raising the kid is done. Being a good husband and father to the best of my ability is done. I strive at that every day. Could I be better? Yeah, but I'm certainly doing the best I can. Being a virtuous man, done. I work at that hard every day. Sharing my book, it's done when I make this video. So my life purpose is met. My life purpose, my purpose in life is done every day around 6 a.m. when I post the blog post for this, because after I make this video, I post it on social media, and then I write a blog post for it and share the link on my blog. And once I do my blog post, it's done. And then my life is done. What do I say? So my first objective is to be always ready to die, to have all that in order. My affairs, my relationships, and my life's purpose. The second objective is to make good and effective use of time. Emphasis on the word effective. I don't want my time to just be passed without having it, purposed to some good end. Have some yield. What is the difference between that? And that's the purpose of this exercise, is to throw a spotlight on these things. What is the difference between good use of time and effective use of time? Well, the good use of time would be anything that furthers my purpose. So it's a good use of time if I'm working hard at my job, which allows me then to earn a good living, which allows me to pay all my daughter's expenses at college, so that because one of my first purpose is being a father, to help her with that. Okay. So working hard. Effective, There we go. Now I got it. Effective would be having the best job I possibly could to make good, so that the 8 or 9 hours that I work every day are squeezing the best reasonable income I can. It's an effective use of my time, good and effective. So it's good that I work hard. It's effective that I work hard at a good career. I like that. Yeah. It would be good that I worked hard on making these videos. It's good that I make these videos, for me at least. It's effective that I make it with a more determined effort. And I'm like, I would love to just do the lightning round right now, but I'm clearly struggling. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to do a good job. That's a good example too. So the videos, when I make these videos, if you see them on my YouTube channel or on my blog, there's the title, which is The Good Life, and then the date, and then whatever, whimsical title I give it. That's what I'm writing down when I'm writing. And then if you see an asterisk at the end, that means that's one of the Good Life, what's a video where I made the extra effort. It was an effective video. So it's good that I make this video every day, but it's an effective video when it comes through and I really do the whole thing justice. And I noted as such with the asterisks. So I guess that's good. Yeah, I think I understand now the difference between good and effective use of time. All this time, and we're just on principle, on objective number 2. Objective number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. These are these 7 objectives and 32 principles. And I just did it right there, right? You just saw me making the distinction between good and effective use of time. That effort is the satisfaction of objective number 3, which is the maintenance of this creed. Number 4 is the cultivation of good emotional reactions. Working hard to react well to the things that are happening in my life, especially the problems, the difficult bits. And I am doing that. I'm getting real good at that at work. It's like I see my limits. Like that thing I was talking about yesterday that was happening, where my one coworker and their younger and more nimble mind could remember details I couldn't even recall. And I reacted well. It was emotionally inside, I was a little bit churned in knots, because it's kind of my job to know that stuff. But I just kind of, even though I was churning in knots, my emotional reaction was more stoic and stayed. I was like, yeah, I need to do a better job of recording this information. And they asked me, even the one manager even asked me, Kurt, does this all make sense? Do you not use this all? And I fessed up. I said, actually, no, I don't have the detailed notes or the recollection that this other person does. And we worked our way around that. And I did take careful notes from what that person was saying, but I couldn't necessarily back it up. Anyway, I'm kind of going down a tangent now. Good emotional reactions, that's important. Next is to perform good actions. This is number 5. Just to do good things throughout the day, finding ways to improve the world around me. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I'm staying within the lane lines of what is reasonable to do or expect. And number 7 is to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, just as I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to carefully enunciate the words that I'm speaking. That does a couple of things, right? It helps to make it clearer, and it also helps to slow down the interface between the thinking agent and the speaking part of me. Gets a better chance for it to come out clearly. Okay, so those are my 7 objectives. My 32 principles now then are, number 1, the principle of war. To always be fighting against what I think is true, what I already think is true, what I want to onboard as true, or what others tell me that I should believe is true. And what do I use it in that aforementioned war? Because I don't want to just take things on willy-nilly, especially not just because they make me feel good or alleviate any concerns or doubts or questions that I have. I need good reasons for the things that I believe, except for my belief in that free will is an illusion. That one I take on faith. Confessions. So what do I use for this aforementioned war? Then that's the next principle, the principle of reason. Reason is the arbiter of truth. Now, reason has 4 sub-principles: honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. This is because to be a reasonable human being, I want to be honest with myself and others. I want to be objective in looking at things from many angles. I want to be a fierce skeptic, doubting. And I also want to be willing to embrace the humiliation of discovering where I'm wrong, where I'm weak, or where I've strayed. Kind of like the thing that I've discovered yesterday where I'm not doing something very good. I want to see that and then work to improve it. And that's why I'm going to work a little bit today, even though it's my day off, to try to ready myself for next week's challenges in that regard. Principle number 3 and principle number 4 go together. They're a twofer. This is, and they've got funny names. This is the homunculus, principle number 3, and the anchor hold, principle number 4. They go together actually because, not just because they philosophically they align or they complement one another, but they also go together in terms of the etymology of these two words. The homunculus describes kind of the little man within, and I use that to describe my consciousness, because I don't think I have a soul. I think that's just a made-up idea. But I do have a consciousness, a little man kind of in my skull right behind my forehead here, operating things that's going to die with me. And likewise, back in the medieval period in Europe, there would be little places where a little man or a woman would be holed up in the sanctuary of a church, kind of walled in the outside of the church with a little hole called a squint that they could peek through and watch the service and then take in food and put out waste. And food and water come in and waste coming out. And they would spend their life in there, sequestered away, part of the church, like a little man inside. That's where it kind of relates to the homunculus. And that place where they lived was called an anchor hold. And those people were called anchorites or anchoritesses or anchoresses, something like that for the females. So I use those two together to describe the little man inside my head who's kind of trapped like an anchorite, just peeking out through my eyes, watching the world around me. And again, the reason that I have these two principles is that I don't want to fool myself into thinking about that there's anything about me that's immortal. I am fully mortal, fully fallible, fully subject to the operations of this wet, what is it? However many pounds of meat in my head, gray matter in my head, and subject to death and debility and old age and just starting to not work as well as I did. All that. That's me, and that's you. That's us. Okay, the next principle is called the home of good and evil. I don't think that right and wrong exist in the universe on their own. Right and wrong are the opinions that thinking creatures have about the world and what is a good and appropriate action or not to take or think or do. And that's the home of good and evil inside our heads, which ultimately is purely subjective. Next is the principle of purpose, and I already talked about that one earlier. And the 3 sub-purpose are biology, being a good husband and father, particularly raising a child successfully and having a good marriage, affects that, because a partnership together can help us to be better parents. And then being a virtuous human being, as I mentioned before, and then also picking on some life purpose and deciding what that is and what we're going to do about that. Okay, next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, atoms and molecules, and it's all falling to pieces and coming together in other ways. Then the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature, including all of us. And it's good to recognize what the nature of those things are. Like it's the nature of me as I close in on 60 to begin to suffer diminishing mental faculties. It's also the nature of me at closing on 60 to be more at peace and happier in general, and certainly more feeling more complete in life. This is certainly the best time of my life, even though it's very stressful. I wouldn't trade being, I keep saying 60, but I'm almost 59. I would not trade being who I am and my mental state and even my physical state now for any decade in the past. That's been an ongoing constant throughout my life. Every decade is better than the last one. The 20s were lost. The 30s were a mess. The 40s were a confusion. The 50s started to settle down. And going into the 60s now, it's like, wow, let's just hang out here. If I can just get through this work thing, the rest is going to be good. Until this mortal coil winds down, starts to break, begins to pain. And I already feel it. I feel the arthritis growing in my joints already, etc., etc. The next one is the pirate ride. Free will, I believe, as I said before, is an illusion. We're not free. I don't think we're free, even the slightest bit. I had a mental model that came into my mind the other day. I wish I could remember it. It was fun. It was really an interesting one. What was it? I wonder if I can get it back. It really nailed it, if I can say it. I really need to get it back. Where are you? It was a mental thing that helped me to see the pirate ride. It helped me to visualize how we don't have free will. I'll have to give myself that to think about later. I'll bring it back. I should have written it down. Oh well. The next principle is maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude and integrity. Maturity is something that we arrive at as we grow older, but we need to have a substrate of experience of successes and failures to refer to so that we can begin to improve, right? We, as young people, we model after others and what we're told, but then after a while we have a catalog of experience we can then use as our own reference point. That's the wisdom. Fortitude is the strength to do better, to not make the same mistakes over and over again, which is easy to fall into, especially if we don't break up our life, if we simply live one life in the course of this single life, which is fine, but we tend to walk ourselves into deep ruts, which are inextricable at a later age. We can never get out. And if those are ruts born of immaturity, then we're going to be immature till our dying day. So it takes fortitude to climb out of our mistakes. And then integrity is the end result. Integrity is when our life results and our actions and consequences are in alignment with our wisdom. It's a beautiful thing to achieve. It's the thing that overall should give us a good night's sleep. So why don't I sleep well? Well, it's not that I don't wake up with moral issues or issues of conscience. My insomnia is relative to quality, the quality of my workmanship. I'm like a craftsman who's not satisfied with the sharpness of the knife blade that I'm making, or the shine of the wax finish on a piece of wooden furniture that I've produced. I'm not pleased. I'm like a craftsman who's not pleased with his craft. It's a different kind of insomnia. So I guess the insomnia can come from many things, but I never wake up in the middle of the night wishing that I was a better person. That sounds pretty extreme to say it that way. I mean, I could certainly improve, right? I know that I'm a bit of a sociopath, perhaps. You know, maybe a bit of a narcissist. I can certainly improve in those regards, but I think overall, I continue to greatly improve day by day, week by week, etc. So I don't really lie awake thinking of worrying about that. Nor do I worry about my past mistakes, because I've always been the type of person to attempt to make amends where I fail. But I do worry about my quality. Anyway, off on another tangent. Bring it back, Kurt. Maturity, wisdom, and fortitude, and integrity. Next comes the social principle. We're social creatures. We need each other. And the sub-principles there are diplomacy, justice, conspiracy. Seeking after diplomacy, one another, working together towards real decisions and agreements that will help to produce a better living circumstance for all of us, a better city, as I like to say, and then conspiring, linking arms together to make that better life, that better world happen. Then comes public speaking, the principle of public speaking, working to be a better communicator. And the sub-principles there are best words, cultivating a good vocabulary, but then seeking after the right words to communicate our meaning. Eloquence. Eloquence comes of listening to good speakers and then working hard to be good speakers ourselves. Prudence. Filtering what comes out of our mouth and what filters through our pen or the keyboard as we're typing is filtered through our values, where again, our product, our speaking, communicating product is in alignment with the values that we hold. It's a tricky thing to do, and this is why speaking and writing in a measured, almost slow manner helps us to do that. You can kind of make sure that everything is straight as it goes out the door. And then also, there's two negative elements to public speaking, and that is to avoid gossiping and to avoid spreading rumors. All right, next is a fiver. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be borne, and the feast of woeful. Temperance is our ability to control our consumption, to have moderation. It's a good thing to do, and it's going to help us when we deal with the challenges of life. It's going to help with everything. Life will not go well is a reminder that days are going to be tricky. It's rare that things are going to go the way we expect, to be ready for the speed bumps. The horror show is a reminder that life goes to the nth level sometimes, and it becomes not just bad, but horrifying. And it's happening all around us, and it's probably happening near us soon, and it's coming for us soon. Horror awaits. I'm trying to ready myself for that to the best of my ability, and to help to have empathy and sympathy for those that are going through it. That which must be borne speaks to the fact that we have to bear, as adults, the horror show and the fact that life will not go well. It's our responsibility to bear that the best of our ability. Doesn't mean we can't ask for a hug, but it's our adult responsibility to bear those things. And then finally, the feast of woeful is the reminder not to cause others to suffer from my own upset, to not use the audience of my family, my friends, my co-workers even, as a venue to spout or spew out my upset. I see that happening at work. It's always been the case at work. I have co-workers that, and I used to do this too, we would vent with one another. And I know that there's some helpful to that, something helpful about that too. I'm not doing that anymore. It's very rare that sometimes I'll have a moment, but it's very rare that it happens anymore. I'm more stoic through the workday. I'm more to the point. Matter of fact, I'll listen to other people when they want to complain and vent, and I'll offer a shoulder to cry on if they want, so to speak. But I don't engage in that anymore, and I don't fuel the fire. I don't facilitate it. I'm not a good person to come to if you want to talk shop, gossip. I'll politely listen, and if it sounds like it's getting to really be, I said that a little bit wrong. I'm not. If you want to vent your upset, then I'll offer an ear and a shoulder. That is the Feast of Offal, and I don't want to do that to anybody else, so I try not to do that myself. But if you want to talk gossip about other people, you're going to find that I have something else to do. I'll leave the room, because I'm not going to do that. I have done it a couple of times, even within recent memory, but the frequency in which it occurs is very rare now. Okay, now moving on to the best seat in the house. The next principle: to not want to be anyone else, or be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. Right here, right now, right who. All the while striving for better. Next comes forfer. The restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, and the risk of avoiding risk. The restless man is a recognition that for some of us, not all of us, but maybe all of us, but some of us, it's very clear we get restless about mid-teens and into the 20s. We want to have some adventure in life, something to mix it up a little bit, right? And my concern is that if you are one of us, like that, and you don't do that, then there's going to be a penalty to pay throughout life, because that won't go away. So I recommend, if that's us, that you step upon what I call the path of wildness, which is easy to find. It's the course of a stream. It's leaves blown in the wind, a beast's track through the brush, and the direction of our first inclination. The path of wildness is the segue from the current life we're in now into a new adventure in life. It could be as dramatic as up and moving to another part of the world, or as simple as simply taking up a new hobby or starting a new career. But in any case, new hobby and career probably aren't going to satisfy. Having a big adventure is going to do the job. I recommend it at a young age, particularly after college and before we start our career. About 25 to 30 years old, give yourself those whole 5 years. You'll be glad you did. Your older self will be very glad you did. There'll be a peace inside you. I mean, I can't sleep at night, and I'm restless, and I do have anxieties, worries, and frustrations, but I have none regarding the adventures of life. I've had so many adventures, and my adventures have been rather tame, but that part of my mind is at peace. And I know that that wouldn't be the case had I not chosen the life of adventure, chosen to become softypapa and do the band in Japan thing and the YouTube bullet train, and to write Going Alone and do the Siberia ghost town adventures, all that stuff, was a great big investment in peace of mind. So that great life adventure, it's yours for the taking, but probably no one's going to encourage you, or very few people will encourage you, except maybe your friends, because it's risky, it's strange, does not immediately profitable. And why? That's where I come to the last of the four, the risk of avoiding risk. There are 5 surface level risks in life. These are getting a good education, starting a good career, establishing a home and a family, and saving for retirement. If we don't do those things, then our life is going to be a little trickier, especially at the end when we have to keep on working after we're fed up and we'd rather stop. So it's good to do those things. You can have a good life from those things. But if you're also one that feels the draw to adventure, then that will need to be addressed in another way. That's the deep level risk. Few are going to encourage you to do that. Your parents aren't going to necessarily support your idea of finishing college and then going and becoming a bum hitchhiking around Europe or whatever people do. They're going to say, get a good job, find a gal or a guy, get married, have kids, get a mortgage, save for retirement, you know, decorate the house for the holidays, take up golf, all that stuff, right? Because that's what families want to see their kids safe and successful, because they want to know that they're going to be all right without them. That's how I feel, even though I'm, you know, spewing out these recommendations for adventure. I would like to see my daughter finish college and get settled. And I guess it's kind of a selfish thing, because then I don't have to worry about her. Although I have been very clear with her that I recommend that she take 5 years off and go do her thing. Don't think necessarily, I don't know that she will. Okay, that was the four of her. Next comes sin and damnation. There are 5 sins in my worldview. There are 7 actually, or maybe it's 8. 8 sins in my world, and they relate to being untrue, believing things for bad reasons, and gossip and rumors. So these are falsity, credulity, believing things too readily, faith. Falsity is being a liar. Credulity is believing things too easily. Faith is belief founded on belief, which is a circular thing. It's nonsense. Superstition, which is a categorically nonsense type of belief. Dogma, believing things based on past tradition and precedent, or a great canonical book alone. Authority, believing things because we're really impressed with the speech, the hat, the gestures, the charisma of someone or some institution. And then the last 2 are rumor and gossip. Do any of those things, and we're damned in the here and now. And it's a pretty awful damnation. Have to live with yourself as a damn liar, a damn fool, damn rumor-mongering gossip. I don't want any of those things. That's why they're sins. Not sins against any god, because I don't think there are any gods. It's a sins against. It's a sin. These are sins against reason and good living. Dare I say right living? Yeah, dare I say it? Right according to me, because each of us is responsible to formulate a constituent definition of what right is. That's our responsibility, and wrong as well. For me, right is whatever serves to, whatever is an accurate match for reality as we can observe it and measure it, and also helps to serve to improve the well-being of thinking creatures and everything in general, but particularly thinking creatures, those that can suffer pain and no joy. Okay, the next principle is called complete oblivion. With no soul, no God, no heaven, no hell, no afterlife of any sort, just a homunculus stuck in an anchor hold ready to wink out when this mortal body expires. That means that there's nothing to follow. There'll be no happy reunion with our loved ones, no chance to reconcile differences, and no justice in the end. The only chance we have to do any of those things is while we're alive. So I recommend doing those things while we're alive. Next is the bullseye aim. Simply a reminder that usually when we try to achieve something, we usually miss the mark. Then the uphill climb. We strive up, up, up. Striving to live better and do better and be better every day. Finishing this day a little higher up the mountain of life than yesterday, where the elevation is defined by our improved catalog of principles and objectives that we maintain, and our improved ability to execute according to those. Arena and utility is next. Life is an arena for the development of objectives and principles to help us to live better. Nothing is enough. A suggestion that less can be better. We're not going to find peace, happiness, or satisfaction, at least not for very long, in the acquisition of things or the possession of them. They require constant renewal if we go that route. Better to have the peace that comes of a well-lived life. And then finally, the last principle is the principle of fun. A reminder to try to have a fun time today, to plan for more fun tomorrow, and to remember the good times of yesterday. Sounds like a commercial for a casino. Okay, there you go. That's my Good Life Creed. 7 objectives and 32 principles laid out in detail. I prefer it when I do it that way, although it takes longer. It's easier to do when I've got my day off. Just remembering that next week I've got a full week, Monday to Friday. I'm ready though. I can do it. Okay, that's planned for today. It's the day off. It's a day off. I'm going to finish this video, upload it, and then I'll feed my dogs, walk my dogs. Then when I'm done with that, I'll fire up the computer. I have a few things I'm going to do at work. I'm sure that there's some challenging email waiting for me, or a Slack message waiting for me, that I'll address that. That'll take me to probably 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll try to wrap that up. Then tomorrow, my nephew Parker and I are going to Siberia Ghost Town. So I need to do a couple of things to prepare myself for that. I might get a haircut today, work a little bit on this room. I have to think about other things that I want to do today. What would make a good use? Oh, I have a book that I need to ship. A couple of things. Order some more books. I've been selling books on the website again. Goingalone.org. You can buy Going Alone and any of my published books there. And if you do that, I'll sign them and send them to you. Although, give me a couple of weeks. It takes a while because I have to order it and it has to come. I don't have any in stock. Thanks for joining me. And as I begin to say now, at the conclusion of every video, now that I make this video, as I'm about to push that button, my life is done. I have to keep that in mind. Today is a good day to die. I've completed my life objectives. My daughter is raised and grown and good. I continually, every day, work to improve the well-being of thinking creatures, and my book is done. And with making this video, at least uploading this video, and sharing it, my message is sent. My barbaric yelp is yelped. Take care. Be safe, but not too safe.